Hello, my name is Yevgeny, but you can call me Joy. I have two very not so much similar names, I know. It is part of improvising. You must have already talked to my son Frank. If not, please look at episode 1, Frank's story. Or there might be some nasty spoilers for you in this one. I know it's a long story, but we both like to ramble. It runs in our blood. What can I say? Well, I guess it's time we get to know each other a little bit, huh? You will, don't worry. I don't know much about you, but this is not about you, is it? I was born sometime in the past. I don't remember my birth, but the sound of it, I think it was some foreign country. Very friendly with the West. I was brought here by two weirdos against my will at around the time I was 14. It sure beat wrestling goats for a living. And now I was getting paid by the country to sit in school and be waterboarded by Mr. Winkle's slurping slurs. Incentive was great, to say the least, to do well. I did not want to get any one-on-one, face-to-face help with him. When I graduated, I got a job at sanitation. Waste disposal engineer. A good job, good pay. Plowing through waste all day long. Well, I met Molly one day after work at the pub. She was a gorgeous woman. Dark eyes, dark hair, with a stare that could suck out a man's soul, and a disposition of an angry mountain goat. She knew what she wanted, and she would stare it to death. That is how our eyes met the first time I saw her. I thought, this must be what people talk about. This is love at first sight. I never felt it before. She sucked the soul out of my body. Most definitely, she wanted me. And I wanted her. What is any respectable single man without any prospect going to do with such a gorgeous goat? Of course, I married her. Molly was a great wife. She was good to me. She tolerated my stupidity, my stupid ideas, and I loved her for it. Yeah, I had great ideas. For example, I wanted to write this book. Like, they have these coffee table books. It's all the craze. But my book are those for the washroom to make you go. Something you can pick up and read while you're in there, conducting the business. Or have a guest come in and they read while they are in there taking the dump, to make them feel more at home, more relaxed. Toilet is like a bed. Wherever you go, no matter how great it is, it never feels like the one you have at home. The one you have at home, you feel that it can take all the abuse you can throw at it. But when you go somewhere, it's like taking a shit on a delicate flower. And more times than not, you end up pinching it off in a bad place. And then you go back to the party with your cheeks getting covered in dripping mascara. And a good toilet book would be something to relax. It would eliminate all the problems for people. But she was right. It was not a good idea. It would never catch on. People are too comfortable with their own shit. Molly, she also gave birth to my son Frank. And for that alone, I give her shirt off my back. Later, in 80s, recession hit hard. We had big mortgage, and interest rates went to hell. On top of that, I lost my job because of cost-cutting measures. I guess people ate less, so there was less shit to clean. I am not sure. but they were definitely a lot less shit and money to go around. There is another idea for you. Link the stock market analysis to shit amount and its content. Trade stock based on it. With trained eye and nose, usually you can tell where the money goes. Yeah, full of good ideas. Molly got an accounting clerk job without having to destroy any souls, so that was good on her. But we needed more money to survive, and Frank was a growing kid. So we discussed our options. Molly did not approve. I did it anyways. I enlisted in the army. I was 23, strong, like a bull in my prime. But army was no pig's picnic. I had a natural gift for more than one thing. It made it easier. I make good pranks, and I hit like a wall. If a wall would drive like a fast car. My pranks were epic. It kept up the morale. It gave soldiers something to think about. And not think about the war outside, but think about what's going to happen here, next. Something that is not potentially dangerous, it would not end in death. That way, their mind is not focused on fear of dying the next day. They just feared getting covered in shit any time now. The greatest concept I could make. I put some shit on their faces while they sleep. That was just for laughs. Walking around, you slap one on. I made one, what I call a shit spreader. It's a bucket full of shit and a small amount of TNT. That was a holiday favorite. When we were out and about, I repurposed one old prank from the country. We used to play as kids with a car muffler, a pure classic. You ask for binoculars because you forgot yours. You poke a little that you can get out of your ass. And then you smear it evenly just over the edges of the eyepiece. And then you pass them back. I call that one Gift from Beyond. Also works on snipers. How I get away with that? Well, I did not. In attempt to pull the ultimate prank, I filled the cargo boxes with shit. They were ready to deploy. I watched them drop in a village as the people gathered around to receive first aid. I watched those crippled and starving opening the boxes when the shit started pouring out. I had instant regret. It turned out later this was a terrorist camp. But for me, it was too late. I already had a feeling of regret. And what if this was a conspiracy to change story, just to make me feel better? They shipped me back soon after the incident. Something about biological warfare. But I got honorable discharge. They bundled a bunch of Boy Scout badges to go with it. I was a mess. I drank to keep the edge off, to keep my mind busy with light subjects. In my mind, there was no other way. I could not trust anyone. No one would understand my pain. I knew Molly, she meant well. No matter how hard she tried to help, it just made things worse. I had to go. Frank took it hard. Every time I'd look at his eyes, I'd see those people covered in shit. I wanted to protect him from monsters like myself. But I needed to get better first, to understand my purpose in life. If there are no guidelines for our actions, then each of us is forced to design our own moral code, to invent morality to live by in order to exist. Maybe key is not to be a sane person. Maybe we are all more or less crazy. In my refusal to accept the absurd, I realized that whatever I'm doing that prevents me from killing myself is essentially my purpose. It was the only authentic meaning to my life. I saw Frankie at the grocery store one day. I kept close to look after him. He did not recognize me, so, I panicked. I improvised. I told him my name is Joy. I was too ashamed to tell him I'm his father. I was really in a hurry for work. I had a painting job. It paid well. All I wanted was some bread to play a prank on old Doug. My turn to bring lunch. Hey, Doug. You can shave an old goat, but you can't make it have dinner at the table. I was working my way back up there. This prank was simple but priceless. You take 2 slices of bread, you spread some shit, and you got yourself a dentist's dream. You should have seen that smile on Doug's face. Priceless. I started spending more and more time with Frank. Molly did not want me hang around with Frank. But at first she was tolerant. And after underwear drawer incident, oh man, she lost it. She thought I was drinking again. So she forbid me. This is when my training was essential. In and out, like a rat, through the basement window. I was never even there. Me and Frank would play games, which I did not care much for, but Frank had a friend, and he did not have many friends, so I was there for him. I'd give skin off my back for him. I told him many times later that I'm his dad, but he just brushed it off like nothing. He thought I was pranking him or joking. He'd never acknowledge me. But I was okay being friends with my son. I hear some people dream to have their kid in this kind of relation, to be friends. Kids don't want to be friends with their parents. But I was lucky. The rest Frank told you about. Eventually, he came to terms. I'm his dad. There is no need to rehash. Me and Molly never resolved our views on life. She died first, and I took full advantage of that opportunity. I moved in with Frank and Kat. I paid them rent. It was nice. It was the happiest time of my life. Kat, very nice and caring girl. It's hard to say as a parent that anyone should ever deserve my boy, but she was okay. I followed her, watching her every move, had her house under surveillance for months. I tricked her into doing an online Facebook survey to get accurate character profile. I trained her cats to all shit on cue, as a distraction, of course. I interviewed all her boyfriends, friends, and acquaintances. I found perfection, a good soul for Frank. It was near perfect. He was really happy with her. I could not wish for more. Of course, they did not know any of this. By the time my liver was damaged, I was old but happy. I died holding Frank's hand in hospital. I let last otter float up the surface. What a way to go. Frank was my everything, my birth and my end. Now we sit up here reunited. Hey, Frankie, yeah, he thinks this is heaven. If there was one Frankie, we would not be together, trust me, my boy. As Frankie insists, I should tell you that this was not a bad life we had. Shit happens every day, some good and some bad. Yeah, okay, Frankie, I get it. They get it. It's a bag of dicks. Go watch first episode. Whatever way you flip it, I'm the one that picked the dick covered in shit, I guess. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And please share with your friends, and we will make more for you. Special thanks to Oakville Theater Group and Geri Hall as a good and great teacher for helping us come to life with great workshops. I will see you around, alright? Till next time, keep it tight.